Thank you, Madam Chair. I taught special needs children when I was much younger and just out of college. And when you spoke at the beginning of this hearing about the importance of making sure that everyone has opportunities and that everyone is treated with dignity, as Senator Casey did, I just want to say, yes, that's a measure of who we are as a people. And I very much want to associate myself with your comments on that. I think it's right. So I'm glad you're holding this hearing today. In doing some research for today's today's hearing, my staff came across a few reports about working conditions of individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. In Rhode Island, Pedro, a 25-year-old man with an intellectual disability, spent 3 years sorting and packing buttons. Pedro's boss described him as an excellent worker. He was paid 48 cents an hour. In New York, workers with disabilities packaged pharmaceuticals at a nonprofit organization. They were paid 33 cents an hour. The CEO, by the way, was paid more than $400,000. In Iowa, dozens of adult men with intellectual disabilities worked at a turkey processing plant. They began work every day at 3 o'clock in the morning, and they were housed in a crowded schoolhouse together. They were paid $2 a day. Now, Dr. Mank, you're an expert on the labor market for individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Congress has passed labor laws, civil rights laws, and other laws protecting Americans with disabilities. It's 2017. Can you explain why wages this low are not illegal?
I can explain it. I can't defend it.
Could you turn on your mic there?
I can explain it, but I'm not defending it. The legislation, the original legislation was passed in 1938 that allowed payment of subminimum wage. This was somewhat updated in 1966, but because of a section of the Fair Labor Standards Act called 14C, it's perfectly legal to pay, to measure someone's productivity and say you work at 50%, you get 50% of the raise. Having said that, it's often unnecessary when people are matched with the right kind of work. We have something well over 250,000 people in the country. It's hard to know exactly because the hard count is on organizations that hold the certificates, of which there are more than 2,000.
So just so I just want to make sure, though, that we're all following this. I want to ask this question very clearly. A worker with a disability can be paid less than a worker without a disability for doing exactly the same job?
That is correct.
Wow. You know, I don't think most Americans know that this kind of discriminatory treatment is perfectly legal, but I'll bet that if they did, they'd agree that individuals with disabilities ought to be paid fairly for their work. So, Mr. Smith, let me ask you if I can. I want to thank you for coming before this committee today to share your testimony. And I hope we can take your comments into consideration as we make policy that will affect employment for people with disabilities. I understand that you are a mail clerk. Could you just say a word about what that job means to you?
Ever since the beginning, thank you. Ever since the beginning when I was working at Penwalt Corporation, right down 17th Street, I thought, where am I going to go in this world? You know, I mean, I started out my job and I thought, where am I going to go? What's going to go on? You know, I mean, but I wanted to go higher and higher and higher, and work. You know, I didn't know how high I'd get, but I mean, I wanted to get very high, and so. Right now, as I know, I'm a part of human resources. I'm also a part of the whole company, and I'm a natural asset to it that has really helped me out in a lot of ways, and I'm helping them out in a lot of ways. And I do see that the work that I'm doing there is very demanding, but it's not a procure to me. I mean, I don't feel any difference in it than other work because it's really okay. It is hard, hard. Yes, I mean, first of all, my memory is good, and I have a large knowing whereabout people sit or people are, throughout the company. I mean, we've had many moves and changes throughout the company, and I'm just able to pick up on where the people sit and where they, and so I'm able to do my work that way.
Could I ask you, do you think Americans with disabilities should be paid less than their coworkers for doing the exact same jobs?
No, I really don't, because they deserve. See, they are people. They are American people. They are truly a part of our nationality, and they serve a purpose. They serve a natural purpose on land, or on this land, that a lot of people around me. Not saying anybody here, but I mean a lot of people don't perceive as good or as nourishing or as helpful to us.
I really appreciate that. Thank you,
Okay.
Mr. Smith. I'm over my time, but if I could make one point, since I won't have time to ask the question, that the Advisory Committee on Employment for Individuals with Disabilities that Dr. Mank chaired recommended that Congress pass a well-designed, multi-year phase-out of the sub-minimum wage. It's pretty amazing to me that in 2017, the law in America still allows employers to exploit some workers with disabilities, paying them pennies on the dollar, and I support phasing out the sub-minimum wage and look forward to working with my colleagues on this committee. Thank you.